Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, the attendees, all the panelists, Mr. Ajmer Singh, our Director General, Shri Arun Kumar Jha, Dr. Gautam Saha, and Dr. Darpan Kaur, who will be joining us shortly. Welcome you all to another webinar in the NPC Healthcare webinar series. And the flow of the entire session will be that Mr. Ajmer Singh will be introducing us with the topic and our speakers today. Then Mr. Arun Kumar Jha, IES, our Director General, will be inaugurating the session. After that, our speakers will do their session and we'll have a 15-minute Q&A session post the overall webinar. And towards the end, our Director General will give a thanking note to both the speakers. So as of this moment, over to you, Mr. Ajmer Singh. Ajmer sir, can you hear me?
Janendu, I missed out. In fact, there's some technical problem. Dr. Darpan's on the line. Just give me 10 seconds. I'll just speak with her and revert.
No problem, sir.
Welcome again, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ajmer Singh, please carry forward with the introduction of the speakers and the session which we're going to have today. Till the time, I'll coordinate with Dr. Darpan. Thank you.
There's a bit of technical glitch today, so maybe you can request somebody from the IT to sort this out. Huh? Am I audible?
Yes.
Doctor, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So we will proceed with the. I'm sorry, I missed out the initial part. There's been a bit of technical glitch, which IT team is trying to sort this out with Dr. Darpan, and she'll be joining us in a while. And meanwhile, I'll proceed with the introduction. And good evening to all the participants. And Dr. Gautam Saha is with us. Dr. Gautam Saha is MBBS MD in Psychiatry. He's Director, Clinic Brain Neuropsychiatric Institute, Calcutta. He's President of SARC, Federation of Psychiatrists, and he has also been editor of various publications on psychiatry. And interestingly, he's also Vice President of Indian Psychiatry Society, and the acronym is IPS. So Dr. Saha should expect a legal notice from Indian Police Service. That is on the lighter side. And then Dr. Darpan Kaur, she'll be joining us in a while. Dr. Darpan, she is Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Mahatma Gandhi Mission's Medical College and Hospital, Navi Mumbai. And today we're going to talk about mental health awareness during COVID-19 pandemic. These are extremely difficult times. And we all look forward to some support from psychiatrists and clinical psychologists, and grateful to Dr. Saha. He has kindly agreed to sort of address this webinar and educate us on this. And these are extremely difficult and challenging times. And plus, every panelist, I request that it's an initiative thanks to Mr. Arun Kumar Jha, sir, Director of National Productivity Council. The mental health is such a serious issue. It's time that we talk about it. And if I keep discussing with him also, and we would request you to educate us on this, that how do we persuade people? We at times come across our friends, near and dear ones, who may be suffering from. We have already had a couple of webinars, so now we have a fair idea that somebody who has these symptoms for 2 to 3 weeks, somebody may be suffering from depression or a mental health disorder. So another challenge is, how do we persuade people that they should go and see a professional? And also do educate us that how do we, although we are making an effort to destigmatize depression, we are trying to reach out. But I would like you to answer that, how can we destigmatize depression? And now I hand over to Arun Jha, sir, and then we can proceed with today's session, sir.
Thank you, Ajmer ji. Thank you very much. First of all, on behalf of myself and on behalf of National Productivity Council, I would like to welcome both our eminent speakers, Dr. Gautam Saha and Dr. Darpan Kaur. We are extremely happy and pleased to have them on our webinar. Just to proceed, as you have left, that National Productivity Council is mandated to enhance the productivity of all sectors. Our motto is, we enhance the productivity of man, machine, and organization. So nothing could be better than making a person mentally strong. When his brain and his mind is strong, he will be able to produce more. He will be able to give more to the society. It is in this kind of situation, and that too in the COVID period, people's activities need to be monitored properly, and therefore this kind of psychiatric advice, psychological advice to the people will go a long way in making them more productive. So I am really looking forward to hear from Dr. Saha and Dr. Darpan Kaur in this regard. So without wasting any more time, I will hand over the mic to Dr. Saha for going ahead with that. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Saha, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arun Kumar Jha, the director of NPC. I am really grateful that you have given me the opportunity to speak in front of you people, and definitely Mr. Ajmer Singh for your kind interaction. So can I share my slides? Share option is not working here. Might be you have to make me the co-host, I think.
Jalendu, please give him the.
Yeah, but share is. Share option is not working. I don't know why. This is a open system preference is coming. I have done it. I don't know why it's happening.
It appears there is a bit of technical glitch. I think in that case, you can proceed with your talk, sir, about mental health. If there is a difficulty in sharing slides.
Okay. Then I'm talking. Okay, before what I'm telling you that we are going to talk about mental health and psychological well-being amidst COVID-19 pandemic. You know that there are lots of mental health problems in this pandemic, but before going to know what are the mental health issues here, we have to know why the mental health issues are arises out of this crisis period. We have to know the history of COVID-19 too. You know that if you see the history, in 2002, there is the same type of infection was there, which is called severe acute respiratory syndrome. And the mortality rate of this symptom was only 10%, right? And it infected almost. Hello? Can I proceed?
I think
Yes, sir, please continue.
Please continue. Please continue.
So it infected almost 30 countries. Number of cases was 8,473 and death was only 813. Fatality rate of almost 9.5 to 10%. And in the year 2012, there is another same type of infection, which is called Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which infected almost 27 countries. And confirmed case was almost 2,494. Death was equally like SARS, 858, and fatality rate was very high, like 34%. But in COVID-19, what happened? The fatality rate is only 2 to 3%. In fact, almost infected 218 or more countries in the world. So on 12th March 2020, World Health Organization, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros declared this pandemic. That means it is not restricted to any selected countries or any restricted, any continent. It infected, it spreads all over the world. So it was declared 12th March 2020 as a pandemic. But then what to do? It is so much infected, so much. This history is very important to understand the mental health issues, how they come. So there are strategies to combat this situation. What are the strategies? The best strategy is test, trace, and treat. You test everybody, trace who are the patient, active patient, and who are the asymptomatic patient, and then treat accordingly, right? But country like India, where the population is 138 crores, it is not just possible. So what we follow? In fact, America also followed later on. Why we are following that? Two strategies. One is lockdown. Number two, social distancing. And definitely with the usage of hand wash, don't touch your mouth. Other things are very important, but two major things the government and authorities suggested to us, that lockdown and social distancing, which was very appropriate suggestion, and we are still following some extent. But what happened? Then question is why we are doing lockdown and social distancing. Basically, after doing lockdown and social distancing, we are getting some time. this flattened the curve of infectivity. That means at a time, number of COVID cases are less. And by this time, we actually purchase this time by following this system. We have developed the healthcare capacity, which was not with us. Now we can face the challenges. And by this time, we develop our healthcare facilities. But next, this lockdown and social isolation, what happened? Exactly, we all become very much lonely. Loneliness happened because we are locked down at our home. Only family members are there, and we are following social distancing. Though social distancing does not mean you make distance. You can connect with your friends, with your relatives, with your near and dear ones by telephone, by social media, by online. So, my dear friends, what happened? This loneliness leads to so many problems. Like number one is uncertainty. This COVID period, because we don't know what is COVID, what is the mortality. That's why I discussed before coming to the point. Why? Because awareness is very important. You should know exactly what you want to know. What is COVID-19? How much is mortality rate? Basically, you know that the maximum mortality rate in the higher ages. There was a study which shows that the above 18 years, the mortality rate is 15%, 15%. And if it is from birth to 40 years, the mortality rate is only 0.2%. That means 2 die. What we can, yes. Quarantine, what happened? If somebody is quarantined, maybe is a contact person, asymptomatic patient, quarantine or safe home. But if there are several questions come to his mind or her mind, some sort of feeling of guilty. Why? That means I may not take the proper precautions. For me, my family members are also in danger. Then also there is a question, if after the quarantine I am positive again, or if I was contact person, if I am positive, what happened if I die? There is a panic and mental anxiety and depression develop out of this. There is also, I told you, the lockdown and social isolation. They cannot mix properly. Physically, they cannot meet their friends. They cannot take part in outdoor activities. They cannot go to their schools in the children, those who are students. They cannot attend their classes physically. Those who are working, they cannot go to their office. They cannot meet their friends over there. So all these things they made them very much anxious. And this loneliness. Then what are the mental issues related to COVID-19? Number one is anxiety disorder. You know that anxiety disorder means they are always tense, they have feeling of palpitation, they might have somatic tremor, they may have sleep disturbances, they may have bladder wall disturbances. Always anticipated some anxiety, what will happen if I have COVID-19. There are sometimes they have panic-like symptoms also. Next is depression. Depressive disorder includes the symptoms like low mood, lack of interest in doing any activity, lack of getting pleasure out of any enjoyable events. Like somebody used to see television serials every day. But then if she or he is suffering from depressive disorder, he does not like to see again this serial. Always become very quiet. He does not interact with their family members. And it is really very much problematic. In severe cases, there might be a suicidal ideation. I'll come later on. There may be the self when the irritation grows up, aggression builds up, and sometimes they want to come out of this situation, may take some self-destructive acts. Fear is, I already mentioned, is one of the parts, and panic disorder. People panicky sometimes. Tremor, sweating, feeling of impending doom. All these symptoms can appear periodically. Phobic disorder, some phobia, fear of some specific things may disappear. One is the most important disorder is very much we are encountered in this crisis period is OCD. The full form is obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder means you know that there are the symptoms like recurrent intrusion of the thoughts in his mind. Patient does not, the client does not want to think, still the thoughts are coming, in spite of knowing that these thoughts are irrational, irrelevant, but still they are coming. There is a resistance. The man does not want to think all these things, but still they are coming. There may be other symptoms like repeated hand washing, checking, rechecking. Sometimes they check the lock, whether he has done it or not. Sometimes counting and recounting, like if somebody wants to give money someone, so counting and recounting, all these symptoms are there. After this occasion, there is the same disorder called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. After the COVID period, there might be a chance of developing this disorder. And also very common in this period, as the patient or people are at their home, there are chances of developing addictive disorder, which we called substance use disorders. So be aware that actually it hampers much more your mental health than if you don't take it. So always say to no any drug like alcohol, cannabis, opioid, whatever it may be, always say to no. Finally, I am telling you that the psychological impact on COVID-19 lockdown, there is an outline survey from India. The study was done by Indian Psychiatric Society. Right now, I am the Vice President cum President-elect. The study results showed that anxiety disorder is almost 38.2%. Depression is 9.5%. Either depression or anxiety is 40.35%. And moderate level of stress as much as almost 3/4, 74.1%. and poor well-being also 71.7%. So mental health is equally important for all of us during always, but during this COVID period, we should take care of this. We should, along with the physical care, we should take care of mental health also. That is the message to all of us, that thank you so much for your patient hearing. Hello. Over to Mr. Ajmer.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And if Dr. Darpan could hear us. Hello, Dr. Darpan. I think there's been a bit of technical glitch, and by the time she rejoins, I think we can start with question answer session.
Darpan is not there.
Can you hear me, Dr. Saha?
Yeah, then yeah.
I think she has joined. She has joined. Okay. Dr. Darpan, can you hear me? She has joined. Welcome, Dr. Darpan. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Although I've already introduced you, but I don't mind. I don't mind introducing you again. Okay. So there was a bit of technical glitch. My apologies to all the participants, and Dr. Darpan has joined, and so she is. I think I would start with saying that she is a perfectionist. She's a perfectionist. She's helping us with other doctors. She's trying. Trying to help us create awareness, and she is associate professor of psychiatry at Mahatma Gandhi Mission Medical College and Hospital, Navi Mumbai. And so, in fact, this was her idea that, we must talk about mental health awareness during COVID. I mean, these extremely difficult times. So without taking much of time, I request Dr. Darpan, you please take over and educate us on this. Then, we'll start with the question answer session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajmer Singh. It's been very fantastic interacting with you this whole week, and I must compliment you for your initiative on working as a journalist in mental health awareness. And I thank my co-panelist, Dr. Gautam Saha, sir, for agreeing to this and giving us a talk on mental health awareness. And I also thank Director General NPC, Shri Arun Kumar Jha, for his vision, and we should work for doing more awareness for mental health in the community. With this, I shall begin my presentation. I request that there's been some small technical glitch with the Mac Air and the WebEx streaming. So I request the NPC host to display the first slide so that we can begin with the presentation. I shall time myself and try to finish it in 15 minutes, and then we can go ahead with the question answer session. So the topic for today is mental health and psychological well-being amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. Next, we are currently living in the COVID-19 times, and this pandemic came all of a sudden. Like, it's been very stressful for many people living amidst these lockdowns, so much of uncertainty. There have been lives which have been lost, and everywhere you see, there is some amount of distress and suffering. Next. So when we're faced with any uncertainty or unknown situation, fear, worry, and stress response to a perceived or a real threat can occur. It is very normal for people to feel anxious and express fears of contracting the COVID virus, because it's a very real situation. And even WHO states that this whole pandemic has brought about significant changes to our daily lives, and hence it's impacting everyone in its own way. Next. The CDC in United States of America has also been emphasizing that pandemic has been stressful to many. Each one is coping in their own way. So some have been coping adequately well, But some people could have been coping poorly. Some people could be in really very significant psychological and psychiatric distress, and some may have exacerbations or new onset psychiatric disorders. So there's a lot of fear and anxiety over the health of others, as well as over their own health regarding COVID-19. Next. Could you have a slide view, please? Could you go on the slide view? Yes. Next. Next. Yes. So there are some psychosocial factors which contribute to this mental health during COVID-19. There's death around and lives have been lost and people are grieving for their family members who died in COVID. There's an economic turmoil happening. There's a fear of and risk of losing further loved ones. Sometimes there is some uncertainty environment in some situations. Sometimes there are misinformation, and for some people, they are living under an environment of isolation. These all psychosocial factors can affect the human psyche and make more people more vulnerable to mental health problems during the pandemic. Next. Next slide. So, World Health Organization has come out with a report on COVID-19 and mental health. So these reports highlight that globally, there are increased cases of depression and anxiety. There are domestic violence is rising has shown that during the lockdown, there have been more cases of domestic violence. Children's mental health has also been affected. And people who have worked frontline throughout the pandemic have also expressed the need for more mental health support because it's been a stressful situation, primarily for a lot of frontline workers who have dedicated themselves towards care in the pandemic. Next. So sometime around in May, June, United Nations came up with this report that globally a mental health crisis could be looming at large and millions of people worldwide are surrounded death and disease, and at the same time there's a risk of losing jobs. There are financial crises which are very real, which can push people to financial problems and poverty and other aspects. And this COVID-19 is definitely having a global mental health impact. This is in the United Nations mental health report on an impending mental health crisis. Next. So what could be some of the mental health symptoms which people have expressed during the COVID-19 pandemic? This can be a sense of panic, a sense of feeling overwhelmed, feeling restless, difficulties in falling asleep, which we call insomnia, extreme irritability, sometimes impulsivity, frustration, a tendency to feel numb, inability to experience emotions, having increased thoughts, increased worries, for some people developing sadness and low mood, nightmares and poor quality of sleep. These are some of the symptoms that have been reported globally in the WHO report on COVID-19 and mental health. Next. So now I shall give you a brief overview that even different sections of society have been impacted. You begin from small children, and children are very vulnerable. They're very young. They have very impressionable minds, and they know that there's a virus outside. And so different children have coped differently. Their brain and their emotional development is not sometimes that developed to understand the concepts as how adults can understand. They're not able to play out, so they're not been going to school. Many of them have been put to this new system, online classes, and some of them could experience anxiety. Some of them could also get depressed in this prolonged environment. So even the pandemic there are reports to show that even little children's mental health has been affected during the pandemic. Next. Coming to this domain of students' mental health, like for some students and some universities, colleges have been closed as per the regulations. So definitely that the government and all the agencies have made efforts to bring this online system, but at the same time many children and teenagers, they're missing their school and their college life, their friends, their teachers, and their in personal contact. And I'm sure that you are giving guidelines for unlock and appropriately regulations to come on, but during this pandemic students mental health also has been impacted across different students. Next slide. Coming to this, another important aspect of women's mental health and COVID-19. Now, there are two ways to look at it. That during the pandemic, there were a lot of frontline workers who were women and formed a dedicated team, whether they were doctors, whether they were bankers, whether they were in the government services who were tagged as essential workers. So these frontline workers during the pandemic had to go work and also come back home. So working women had significant stressors and fears and anxiety about concerns of safety precautions, as well as taking care of their home responsibilities. And even women who were not working and women at home, where normally they would have a lot of social outings, recreation, even they experienced a lot of stress, and some reports of domestic violence came out that this pandemic has impacted many people in different ways. Next. Coming to as I've highlighted for women's mental health, there's some research online which has also looked at men's mental health and found out that in most traditional societies, men play the primary job in those traditional societies for being the breadwinner or the earner. And those traditional societies where the man is the sole breadwinner, there is a considerable financial burden. And even people working in small shops, or they have business loans, they have to make their repayments. Some of them are lacking the labor force, and even they are experiencing some level of stress, some anxiety, some depression, because sometimes there is an environment of uncertainty, whether it's possessing the right knowledge and safety practices at their workplace, as well as balancing their home loans, their EMIs, their rentals, and then manage with their business yields. And some of them have really their incomes have really become less, and it's a very serious issue which is affecting a lot of people, whether it's women and men. And internationally also research is highlighting that even men's mental health, and men also can face depression and anxiety, and this needs to be prioritized as well. Next. Mental health in the elderly. Now, the elderly have been one of the highest risk groups, and they do have comorbidities at a higher rate than the adults, healthy adults. So they do suffer from diabetes, hypertension, cardiac ailments. Some of them have cancers, are immunocompromised, and even if they're normal, healthy elderly, yet there's always a risk of catching the infection. And this infection in the elderly can link to more adverse outcomes scientifically. So the elderly, being a very vulnerable population, has been at home for a very long time during the pandemic, and slowly they are coming out, but they do have a lot of anxiety and depression, especially when they see things online, and they have concerns that the young adults are going and working and coming back, and the elderly are at home. So even the elderly have shown problems in sleep. There are reports of cases of depression, anxiety, worsening of their medical conditions, and difficulty in getting access sometimes for management of their medical comorbidities in this pandemic. And all these things lead to a lot of anxiety in elderly, especially if they don't have their children living with them. Some of them are living alone, the children are abroad, and even this elderly is a very vulnerable population who has been impacted in its own way by the COVID pandemic. Next. So coming to essential workers in mental health, doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, police, security personnel, the government, whether it's central, state, or local governments, BMC, a lot of staff have given a lot of dedication and kept themselves running in the pandemic. And even people like working in the transport, in banks, petrol pumps, supply chains, and many more sort of essential services, they would have also experienced significant psychosocial distress because they were there at the front line. Next. Now, coming to doctors and the healthcare professionals, as I'm a doctor, and all the doctors are doing their duty, going for work, and sometimes risking their life, working in COVID settings and COVID hospitals. So they all need to be really the spirit of the medical professionals and the healthcare workers, the nurses, the other allied staff. It needs to be saluted because they're risking their life. They are also in need of training and mental health support because it has been a difficult time for them, yet they're trying, yet they're working, yet they're garnering the strength. And even there have been so many deaths in doctors, and it's really sometimes sad situation, but still people and the whole medical fraternity with the allied healthcare workers are trying their best to serve the patients in this pandemic. Next. Coming to now simple tips for coping with stress. So first of all, I'd like to tell everyone that during the pandemic going, and it is normal for everybody to feel sometimes sad, feel sometimes stressed, get angry sometimes, because this is the pandemic. So talking to people you can trust can be helpful. Stay connected to your friends and family. See that you maintain a healthy lifestyle, have a proper diet, sleep well, give enough focus to exercise, and be in social connection with your loved ones. Next. Another very important aspect is getting the facts right and seeing that understanding knowledge about the modes of transmission, gathering correct information, and taking reasonable precautions, as well as just referring credible sources and websites such as the WHO, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, or other federal and government agencies, which will provide you good credible tips and healthcare to cope. You can follow those tips for coping with stress for the public. Next. So World Health Organization also mentions lessen the time you and your family spend on listening to any upsetting, sensational coverage day in and day out on the pandemic. And it's good to reflect on skills that you already had and how did you manage in previous stressful situations. Next. Next.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
The slide is just stuck on tips for coping with stress. Could you change the slide, or may I wait for a minute? And if otherwise, I could just talk without the slides. Could somebody guide me? The slide isn't moving on the screen.
Ma'am, it's due to
Maybe
low bandwidth. Can you see the slides now?
Yes. Now I can see it. Thank you very much. So World Health Organization gives some suggestions on mental health at home, that you can engage yourself with good social media for social connection and support the healthcare and the essential workers. Do not discriminate against them. Next. The next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. So connect with others, talk to people you trust, and support your loved ones. Next slide, please. Yes, so I now I shall share with you some simple tips that just having a good positive mindset, believing in prayer and meditation as per your belief systems, having good knowledge about safety precautions and using social media for creativity, positivity, and connectedness can be helpful. Next slide. Practicing some relaxation and deep breathing exercises, listening to positive stories and soothing music, dance, and hobbies, and being connected with friends and family has a good impact on positive mental health. Next. Taking one day at a time, and these are some self-statements which each one needs to reflect and tell it to them, which we even share it with some of our patients, and these self-positive statements can also help us be in control. So looking at, I shall take one day at a time, we are in it together, I am in control of my situation, it could have been worst for me, it's not really that great, it's not really that bad, and I'm kind of okay, and these are, I'm stronger than I look. These kind of self-positive statements can help people to reframe their negative mindset. Next. Next slide, please. Yes. So sometimes screening, when we come across patients who are in COVID hospitals, or sometimes tele-mental health screening, or asking people, even general people, about how are you feeling? Do you feel extremely stressed? Are you worrying too much? How has your sleep and appetite been lately? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling lonely and helpless? So if anyone is facing these problems, they must seek professional help and take treatment for the same. Next. Now, telepsychiatry has emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Ministry of Health and Welfare, along with the BOG and NITI Aayog, came up with telemedicine guidelines, and then further NIMHANS and the IPS collaborated and came up with the telepsychiatry guidelines. These guidelines allow for consultation with psychiatrists and online consultations for consultation for psychiatric medications, counseling, and psychotherapy. These are available within the private sector, within the government sector, and also a lot of non-governmental organizations which are now working towards delivering tele-mental health services during the pandemic. Next. So some reflections before I conclude. These are tough times. Kindness is very important. It is more important now than it has ever been before. And it is good to be hopeful and have a positive belief for a better future. Next. Learning to keep life simple, avoiding unnecessary conflicts with people during the pandemic, learning to reflect more, being grateful for what we have, searching for a meaning of life, seeking happiness in the small things, being there for one another, and taking each little day one at a time. Next. Planning to a daily activity schedule with few to-do activities, staying connected, caring for one's own mental health as well as caring for others, making an effort to reach out to others. Do not isolate yourself. Learn to give help to others, learn to ask for help, and try to be persistent in the pandemic. This is an adversity time. Next. Yet, I'd say life can be unpredictable. No one knows when is the end for each one of us. So it's good to be strong and stay strong. Learn to be sensitive to others. Value this gift of life. Live each day to the fullest. Develop your own coping strategies. Think positive, that situation will improve. And these could be tough times, but they never last for long. And in psychology and psychiatry, we have this difficult moment shall also pass, and I'm sure that there will be better times ahead. It's just a matter of time. Next. So my message to all the important dignitaries within the services, that mental health is very important. It is a need of the hour. Do not neglect mental health. And the WHO theme for World Mental Health Day tomorrow is prioritize mental health, invest in mental health, greater investment in mental health for each one and every one. Next. So I should just quickly summarize. There have been lots of initiatives during this pandemic where WHO has come out with resources on stress and coping during COVID-19 pandemic. UNICEF has also been working for children's mental health. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is regularly updating about how to cope during the pandemic. They have launched free psychosocial helpline, which is there on the website, which connects them with an enhanced mental health psychosocial helplines, and appropriate guidance is given to the public. The ministry MHRD has also launched a Mano Darpan as an initiative for psychosocial and mental health promotion to children and school students during the COVID-19 pandemic. And MHRD also released some guidelines on caring in specialty settings, especially for psychiatry settings, mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic. Next. Telemedicine guidelines I mentioned to you were released, and there's been a lot of work that has subsequently been done. And NIMHANS and IPS also then further collaborate to release the telepsychiatry guidelines. The IPS, the Indian Psychiatry Society, has constituted a special task force in COVID-19, which is working for mental health awareness in the pandemic. The IPS also has many other task forces, which are each working in their own domain during the pandemic to see that mental health awareness and awareness on psychiatric disorders reaches the public via programs, training sessions, webinars. And the Indian Journal of Psychiatry this month has come out with a special section on research on COVID-19 and mental health for global and national contributions about how mental health and psychiatric disorders have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Next. This is my last slide. Next. So there are many organizations which are doing wonderful work. Each institution is trying to work for COVID care, whether it's a dedicated COVID hospital. People are using how technology can be used to deliver in mental health care. There are many, many more organizations, and my slides may have not done justice to everyone. So each one must try to make the best difference. Programs which can be beneficial to the communities, and these digital mediums and awareness must be connected for grassroots deliverance. There are a lot of gaps in rural and urban mental health, which you policymakers should also understand and help develop good services for mental health. So let us all come together and work towards mental health awareness and service development for patients and their families during this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much. I once again wish to thank Mr. Ajmer Singh, the Director General NPC, for your initiative and inviting us on this panel to share our thoughts on mental health and COVID-19. And I really congratulate all of you, and I'm very grateful to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move on to the question answer session. So Ajmer sir, please do the honors.
Thank you very much, Dr. Darpan. Thank you, Dr. Saha. As I said in my introduction, that you are a perfectionist. So this was a brilliant presentation, very meticulous with source attribution. And one point I think I must point out, when you talked about the essential services, media is also part of the essential services. So that is on the lighter side. But this was a brilliant presentation. You've covered almost all the groups: children, senior citizens, women, and I think I would like to begin with women mental health. One of the questions is that you must address this issue about. I would request Dr. Darpan to take this question. One of the participants, the question is that the cases of domestic violence is on the increase. So how do we handle this, and what do you advise to, as far as the women mental health is concerned? What should be done? What are the do's and don'ts? What is your advice?
Okay, I shall let you know that there are different institutions which are studying domestic violence, and globally also there's the International Women's Mental Health Federations, and the Indian Psychiatric Society also has a section on women's mental health, which has their chair, co-chair and convener, who are working to understand how women's mental health and domestic violence is impacted during the pandemic. The Indian Psychiatric Society is also having a CPG group, which comes out with clinical practice guidelines, and they have formed a small group to study domestic violence. I'm also one of the co-authors for it. So they shall very shortly, they're in the process of their Zoom online meetings and taking stakeholders, so they shall come out with some kind of guidelines for domestic violence in terms of evaluation, in terms of help, in terms of support. And what we understand that domestic violence is an issue which has been there even before the pandemic, and it has been a serious issue which has so many other ramifications in terms of mental health, in terms of the dyad of the husband and wife or the partners that are there. It has legal ramifications as well, and it needs a lot of psychosocial factors which are connected to it. So as a standalone psychiatrist, it would be important to help the patients who are suffering from domestic violence, give them some sort of support, see that if they are depressed or they're having post-traumatic stress disorder or they're having some psychiatric disorder, then the patients need to take the treatment. Many times the aggressor can also have some substance abuse or personality issues. Also, the diet needs to be treated, and sometimes a lot of family counseling and marital therapy needs to be worked. And subsequently, there are guidelines in place which say that domestic violence is a serious, multifaceted problem with one point single solution may not be effective, and it needs to, even in government setup, they have boards which different departments coordinate when a case of domestic violence come, and in such places a medical kind of boards work to guide and help families who suffer from domestic violence, and see how the judicial system, the psychosocial systems, and how the women can be empowered. As I'm not a subject expert in domestic violence, and I'm just sharing whatever little inputs and information, but I believe that the experts who work on domestic violence, their advice would be more authentic. None of what I state is any sort of an advice on the matter. It is just my very limited perspective of the few things that I have come across. It's a very, very serious issue, and people should take it up and see how different policy makers can be taken in the stakeholder, and domestic violence, mental health, psychosocial factors, these all need to be taken as a holistic view. Thank you, and I hope I've answered with my very limited capacity. Thank you.
And also, would you like to share some?
But I am interfering.
Sure.
Dr. Darpankar explained excellently regarding the domestic violence, but the question is definitely in this COVID period, it increases. Still got a complaint. If you compare with the last year's, it is almost double. Just because of the perpetrator or the aggressor is living more time with the victims at home because of lockdown. Number one. Number two, because of lockdown and loneliness, what I totally explained, they have the mental disorder, which was aggravated too. So these are the main reason for increase of the domestic violence cases in this crisis period. Thank you.
And also, Dr. Saha, I mean, as Dr. Darpan pointed out, although, she explained about all the groups, children, senior citizens. Now, senior citizens, especially who have had comorbidities, I mean, it's become extremely difficult for them to handle, plus the stress levels have gone up. So what do you, Dr. Saha, advise? How should senior citizens handle these difficult times?
Number one is very important question, especially the senior citizens are affected very much. Number one, it is the responsibility of the other family member to give some quality time to them. They should talk to their senior citizen, because during the lockdown period, their sons or daughters also got the time. They can interact with their dad or mom, or maybe if their grandfather or grandmother is there. And number 2 point, we suggest them please don't sit on the TV, in front of the TV, because this is an infodemic actually. Over information sometimes make problem. And you should, whenever you get any information through television or social media, just see the authenticity. Somehow what happens during this period, not only senior citizen, if we are getting any information through WhatsApp or Facebook, without considering, without judging whether there is any authenticity or not, we just forwarded all this. This will make a chaos actually. Number two, there are some minor things everybody should follow, like in the morning, some yoga or some physical exercises they have to do. And number four is you can pass a quality time, like maybe due to COVID period, they are not able to, in the lockdown period especially, are not able to do the morning walk they are used to do actually. So some sort of physical exercise you have to do. At the same time, you should nurture your hidden talent. Sometimes you are so busy that you cannot do all these things. Even in children also, the same advice we are giving. Whatever you like singing, to sing along with your family members. And diet also very important during this period. It should be which reduces the anxiety. Whenever you feel any discomfort, we should share with the family members. And in the early stages, if you diagnose, then it will be definitely better for you. And most important is definitely you should interact with the other family members also at this during period. Don't sit in the room and don't sit in front of the television always.
And also, you would be happy to know that many doctors have also joined us.
Great.
So, yes, and plus, our frontline health workers, I think they have also taken this hit. And so, I mean, I've been talking to doctors, so they do ask me, how do we handle this? Because their stress levels have also gone up. They're working in COVID wards. I mean, this is extremely difficult for them. So, I mean, any advice for doctors, from a psychiatrist?
Yes, it is very difficult for the doctors you are asking, right?
That's right.
Doctors and health professionals is a very difficult time. There are lots of news are coming that in the health profession, especially the doctors, the mortality rate is so high, the 10 times of the general population. It's true. But at the same time, if you take the precautions properly, if we do there should be an altruistic attitude that what we have, doctors have come alone. What in between, if those who are doing duty in the COVID duty, in the COVID ward, whenever they should properly know how to handle with the PPEs, how to handle with the patients, and if they can take the proper measures, and whenever they come out of the ward, straight they go to the home, if not quarantine, they go to the home, try to give some time with the family members, try to maintain the regular routine. If you get up at 7, so you get up at 7 only. Not that the next 2 days I have a holidays or I am in the lockdown period, I'll get up at 12. No. In the morning, and the same physical exercises also improve your mental health. And sometimes if you feel really bad, really anxious, then definitely you should consult with a mental health professionals. This is very important. Maybe Dr. Darpan Kaur mentioned that telepsychiatry is developed from the government of India also, and from NIMHANS also, and the Indian Psychiatric Society. We have developed free telepsychiatric counseling during this period. So anybody wants to consult with any mental health professional, any psychiatrist or psychologist, they can do that. Even if they want to meet in person, they can definitely. but mental health should be given the top priority. Otherwise, if if you are not mentally fit, you cannot serve the people as well.
That's right. That's right.
I shall just make a comment that what happens is that psychiatry sometimes is stigmatized, and there's a tendency to, not seek help for problems in time. So with this mental health awareness efforts, very important to destigmatize psychiatry and mental health services. So we should understand that the doctors who are all the doctors who are working in COVID setting or are even any of the frontline workers. And I'm apologetic, Mr. Ajmer, include media, everybody who is there delivering their frontline services, and even not that, anyone and everybody should understand that mental health is important. Destigmatize it. It's really okay. Seek help from psychiatry. Talk to them. Let them decide whether you have, a serious psychiatric disorder or you're just facing some psychological problems. And appropriately, they can plan some medications or some counseling and psychotherapies. That's the entire theme. So doctors as well should understand that whether you're a surgeon, whether you're a gynecologist, whether you're a pediatrician, you're an intensivist, you're working, and it's stressful, and it's good to have every institution which should develop some mental health training programs. And so at our institution, we do have regular training programs for the doctors and the nurses who are working for and the frontline workers. So we have found in our understanding that working for preventive mental health training and giving them the options that, there can be problems, and even the COVID patients can also have face mental health issues. Doctors can also develop extra stress. So it's okay to, seek help. And now the telepsychiatry platform provides online help, but the essence is to begin the conversation around mental health and destigmatize it. And, let us, tomorrow is World Mental Health Day, and or 10th October. And I'm sure that on the eve of World Mental Health Day, we've conducted this webinar. I congratulate you all NPC, and it's a very good cause towards raising mental health awareness. So thank you. And for the doctors, please take care of your health. For all the frontline mental health workers, all the service people, know that psychiatry is it's okay to take help and take care of your own mental health. And if you don't take it, nobody else is going to, each one should work for raising awareness for mental health and work towards destigmatizing psychiatric disorders, psychological problems in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. There's one very interesting thing which I would esteemed Director General to look into. There's one person who's mentioned two interconnected questions. Sir, it says, what is the universal vision of this webinar? It is directed to NPC. And the connected question is there any agenda with NPC through future webinar virtual mode in which we can create a report for post-COVID pandemic measures, and how can it be taken care of? Like, it is very inspiring. It's a compliment, sir, as well as they're asking as to what is the objective of NPC conducting these webinars. Over to you, sir.
Let me answer. It is very, very interesting. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Gautam Saha and Dr. Darpan Kaur from my heart and from on behalf of whole of NPC fraternity and on behalf of Mr. Ajmer Singh and whole, media fraternity as well. Point is very well taken that, you have clarified each and everything, that how talking, how destigmatizing, how taking care of yourself, understanding the thing will help us in beating this mental stress. Now, I think this question is asked by so many of us, that why NPC is doing and what is the role of NPC. Let me clarify very well that the National Productivity Council is mandated to enhance the productivity of all the sectors. And our motto is to enhance the productivity of man, machine, and organization. So how do we enhance the productivity of man? If their productivity is to be kept at the highest level, he has to be mentally balanced. If he's stressed, if he's under some worry, if he's under some fear, he will not be able to perform very, very well. Just now, Dr. Saha said that since doctor has to perform well, they have to keep their mental balance proper. If they have any problem, they should seek the help of other doctor. It is like a disorder. Any kind of problem can happen with any one of us. Like if you have cough and cold, you take a medicine. So that's why we are trying to, address this issue, because I was in health ministry. Then I realized here that during COVID time, nobody is coming there, nobody is able to write anything, they are feeling lonely. So how to connect, service provider. Doctors are what? They are brain, they are health, they are our God. They provide well-being life to us. So if we connect to both of them, it will help all of us. So that is our intention, that is our motive, that it enhance the productivity of the mankind. And any organization will be productive if the persons working there are productive. You let us understand, even at the time, if you consider 200 years after today, that everything will be done by artificial intelligence, still human being will be the 70% of all the organizations. And they will be the most difficult to manage. Any organization's main problem is to manage human resources. So that is our role. And what was the second question, Jalendu? Second part of the question?
So the second part of the question said that is there any broader intention as to create some kind of report and database for post-COVID analysis through these webinars? Like
yes, of course. What happens?
All measures.
All these webinars are recorded, and all these webinars are being uploaded on YouTube, because no knowledge is waste. No knowledge goes to waste. Dr. Darpan Kaur and Dr. Saha, I think all of us here will agree that MBBS course is the most intensive and most difficult course. They study for 8 years, then they come to the service. We all generalists, we study for 3 years, then we come to the service. So such kind of knowledge is being deposited here. And in fact, Mr. Ajmer Singh has always been telling that let us take out some excerpts from all these webinars and prepare it as a book, which will help people to come and over the other several years for their own knowledge and for their own productivity. So, of course, we do not have that much, resources at present who can do this kind of drafting, but we have got this kind of thing in our mind, and it is I'm thankful to the, participants for raising this issue and, inspiring us to do this. We will try to do this also and prepare a report. Otherwise, let me tell you, every time we are, adding from, these webinars and putting it in our report and, other documents which we do otherwise also, because we are a consultancy organization. We do a lot of consultancy with for private, government and public sector undertakings. So all these webinars are helping, because these are not only for participants, these are also for our own people. So every time here also, any webinars is being seen by our own people. So that is a in-service training, in-house training. It is a great work, not only for society, but for all of us, because two eminent doctors are coming and telling us all this. Because, you will find it very, very difficult to contact them, to find their time, because they are very, very busy. Doctors are very rare, and whatever problem we have created, it is because of, I don't know, I don't want to go into detail, but it is not going to be set right also in another 10 to 12 years. Let me tell you. But then, such kind of platform has given us, access to these doctor, and we are very, very thankful to you. Thank you very much. Over to Jalandhar.
Thank you, sir. Again, on the NPC team, I would like to thank Ajmer sir for contributing and collaborating in this effort. Thank you, Dr. Gautam. Thank you, Dr. Darpan. And Director General, sir, I would request you to give us a vote of thanks and a concluding note for the session.
Thank you, Jalandhar. It is my honor to propose a vote of thanks from core of my heart to both the eminent doctors. In fact, for the information of everybody, when I was in Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, whenever I used to address some gatherings of doctors, I used to address them as God and goddesses on the earth. So here again, both God and goddesses are here to save our life, to guide us, and from core of my heart and from NPC, we are thankful to both of you. And not only that, I am very selfish. We will again call you and disturb you for some other time on the same platform. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you.
So thank you very much. We're very grateful to you, and thank you, sir. It's been an honor to be on your platform, and thank you, DG NPC. Thank you, the whole NPC team. Thank you, Dr. Gautam sir, for agreeing to participate, and thank you, Ajmer Singh, senior journalist. You've been very active for the cause of mental health awareness. Thank you. It's been really wonderful having this session with all of you, and thanks a lot. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saha. Thank you, Dr. Darpan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sir, actually, Dr. Gautam was saying
Thank
something.
you,
It's due to
thank you, my colleague, Dr. Darpan Kaur, and also my really thanks to
although we have not been able to hear him, but we understand his intention. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll close the session then. Thank you, sir.